and welcome to New Zealand. I'm Richard Pullum. Hamilton Police have this week faced criticism for dispatching dozens of staff to interrupt a private event held by community outreach group and not-for-profit charitable organisation, the Mangamob Kingdom. Initially, it was believed that the police department's heavy-handed response was due to their upset at not being invited to the event. However, as the only available plating at the set course event was the pork belly with watercress and apple jus, we are aiming they declined for cultural reasons. Sources have reported that the police executed a search warrant under the Sales of Liquor Act, despite assertions from mob spokesperson Louise Hutchinson that the police were advised in advance that the event would be BYO. More than 14 police vehicles were reportedly in attendance, which, given the cubic meterage of the typical Holden Commodore, suggests the police were angling for a significant boon to their social club liquor cabinet. The Mangamob Kingdom have pledged to hold an event in order to clear up any of the public's concerns regarding their organisation. They have promised to cater to it with a sausage sizzle and hot drinks and hold budget and employment advisory sessions. A 26-year-old woman who holds both New Zealand and Australian citizenship has been arrested on charges of suspected terrorism this week, prompting both countries to move into action. In place of the traditional game of trans-Tasman rock, paper, scissors for who keeps the criminal in question, Scott Morrison chose instead to nullify the woman's citizenship, forcing her to be deported to New Zealand. Ardern stated that she believed Morrison's decisive actions were not fair and in bad spirit, considering New Zealand is footing the bill for keeping alive an Australian terrorist. "I thought it would be 1-to-1, said the Prime Minister to press. Scott Morrison's response came via Twitter. "Laughing my ass off, you snooze, you lose tax under," he wrote. He also put forth that he believed the onus was on the New Zealand government to anticipate a 6-year-old New Zealand immigrant to our fine Australia would one day turn out to be a terrorist. Well played, Mr. Morrison.
Cheeseburger is back for a limited.
And in this week's water news, a blunder in Auckland has seen a major pipeline blocked by 200 tonnes of industrial-grade grout. One could be forgiven for thinking Auckland's COVID-19 related lockdown would be the perfect time to hunker down, cue up some adult-themed visual aid, and have a ritualistic cleaning out of the pipes. But the mistake has proven costly for the Auckland City Council. Watercare has assured the public that while grout is not ideal, it is not as strong as concrete, which makes it clear to us that the Auckland City Council has spared no expense on the costly $400 million Kaiba Pass project. Contractors are said to be working tirelessly, around the clock, shovel in hand, to rectify the problem and find out just exactly how the mistake happened. Knocks it off. And in this week's local news, anti-cannabis twatwaffle and anally retentive rector of King's High School, Nick McIver has sent home a student targeting him in a fit of jealousy over the pupil's luscious locks. When reached for comment, the King's High School principal, McIver, remarked that while he was a fan of corn planted in neat rows, he wasn't sure how this related to a student's hairstyle. He also went on to say, "While we appreciate having a student base of wide and varied cultures, would rather that they left any such stylings or looks back at home, in their home country." Insiders have suggested that King's strict adherence to their stodgy, antiquated dress code stems from a desire to make their students appear uniformly homely and thus avoid a recurrence of the unfortunate 2015 incident in which a female faculty member was overcome by one pupil's sheer animal magnetism and accordingly had no choice but to enter into a carnal relationship with the lucky lad. The student in question was later allowed to wear his hair in his chosen manner, but only after McIver was embarrassed by local media outlets and outed as an utter Bundy and control freak. I don't know, this feed was getting me. And finally, a story in a similar vein to the last. A Wellington student has been told to tone down her apparel choice, lest she makes the horny teachers of Wellington Girls High randy and distracts them from their jobs at hand. We sent our journalist, Mary Golightly, to speak with a teacher employed at the school, but she unfortunately terminated the interview after the educator continued to stare hungrily at her ample bosom, breathe heavily, and kept moving his chair ever closer to hers. Men dictating what Kiwi ladies wear for the sake of modesty is nothing new. In 1939, a girls' high school pupil was expelled indefinitely for daring to show a glimpse of ankle before entering the water at Oriental Bay. We here at NewsyLand thought that we had moved on from the outdated, mind-boggling, dyed-in-the-wool conservative methods of old, but apparently that is not true. That's our show. And thank you for joining us. This has been New Zealand, recapping current affairs, New Zealand. I'm Richard Pullum.
Share the special joy of a family Christmas with the Australian Women's Weekly.